All right, folks, here it is. Here's the 6 beginner hiking mistakes that we all make when we first get started. If you can avoid these 6 basic mistakes, I guarantee you're going to have a much better experience out there on the trail. Mistake number 1, failing to do your research. I think we've all heard the adage over our lifetimes, a failure to plan is a plan to fail. Well, that applies to backpacking, walking, and hiking as well. It's critically important that you do your research on the trail and the forest that you're headed into long before you embark on that adventure. You don't want to have any surprises on the trail, so make sure you do your plan and do your research before you get started. Mistake number 2, getting started late. I don't know about you, but every time I have a plan to get up super early, beat the sunrise to get out on the trail, I find myself sitting in my chair, looking out the window, having one more cup of coffee before I get going. And more often than not, that gets me to the trailhead late, which then changes the rest of my plans for the day. Make sure you get up early, get out on the trail early, and give yourself plenty of time to be prepared for the unexpected. My fingers don't work. How do I do 3? 3? Mistake number 3. Mistake number 3, forgetting to check the weather. I know it seems like a silly thing, but you should always scroll through that weather report and see what the forecast is for the area you're going to be hiking in. It could be vastly different from where you live or from where you've been staying the night before. For example, I live near the water and the weather tends to be a little bit cooler and a little bit more mild. But as soon as I get up into the mountains where I like to do my hiking, we get some extreme weather conditions that come in overnight, and you can be surprised and caught off guard. So remember, check the weather report before you head out on your adventure. So before we get too far into it, there's one thing that I need to ask, and it's something I'm terrible at doing, and I always forget, and I end up leaving it out of these videos. If you find any of this content interesting or even reasonably useful, don't be afraid to click the like button and maybe hit the subscribe or leave some comments below on what I can do to improve the content or give a little bit better quality product for you guys. The support is greatly appreciated. Mistake number 4, not packing enough food or water. I'm personally completely guilty of this. I'm half the time very unprepared when I head out onto my hikes just because they tend to be unscheduled and unplanned. Many people will have this great goal and great adventure in mind, and they're going to forget the basics of food and water. A good rule of thumb for hiking is when you're out on the trail, the average human at a basic walking pace is going to consume between 4 and 6 liters of water per day. So if you're out on a single day hike, make sure you have at least 4 or 5 liters of water with you. If you plan on doing it overnight, you need to make sure you either have a water source where you're camping or you've packed enough for the following day. And I typically try and make sure I have at least an extra liter that's going to get me to that water supply in the event that I become a little dehydrated or it gets a little hotter than I was planning. So remember, pack water, pack plenty of food, and then you're going to have a much better adventure. Mistake number 5, and this is one we're all guilty of at all levels of hiking ability, and that's overestimating your abilities. And I'm frozen because I don't remember the rest of what I wanted to say. Whew. See, I'm unprepared for this, and I overestimated my ability to make a video on the fly. Mistake number 5, overestimating our abilities and underestimating the difficulty of the trail. More often than not, we tend to think that we can achieve a lot more in the day than we actually can. The average hiker goes between 2 and 3 miles per hour, depending on the grade of the hike and the difficulty of the trail. So don't set yourself up with a 10-mile hike and only give yourself 4 hours to accomplish it. You're going to find you're 3 miles in and you're out of time and you're out of energy. So don't overestimate your abilities. You're going to want to start slow, build up to those bigger days. Plan some simple 2 or 3 mile hikes initially, and as your skill level progresses, so should the difficulty of the hike. regardless of your hiking abilities and your skill set, it's important that you always plan, prepare, and be ready for what's happening. Above all else, the one and only goal for all of us should be to get out there, get on the trail, and have an amazing time. So, without further ado, folks, until next time, keep walking.